It seems like not too long ago I came in here and did a Ori and the Blind Forest review, and that was my first time ever playing the game and was enjoying every second of it. And of course, Moon Studio says Ori and the Will o Wisp is just a month or so away, so why not play that one too? Hey, this is Perry at AWOI Gaming. If you're not familiar with the way we do things here, we look at video games in a way that might be influential to the video game community, developers, and just overall what influences that particular game might have had, or what it might have gained from others to make the game that possible. And overall, it's to have fun and to bring positivity into this world, in which we need right now. And let's see if the sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, was able to conquer some of the past mistakes from its predecessors and just to make this game an overall better experience. Up first, graphics. Now, when you look at Ori and the Will of the Wisp, it is a gorgeous thing to view the entire time. All the way from its level design over to its different colors, but also just with Ori itself. He is a spirit guardian, fox, and he kind of reminds me of Stitch. I don't know why, he was just funny looking, just Disney. It's like, oh, if I showed him to my sister, it would go like, oh, that looks like Stitch, and I can totally see it. He glows and looks different and doesn't look like your average animal. What's cool about Ori's look, though, is that he is constantly glowing throughout the entire game. I mean, that sprite-colored spirit guardian look is there the entire time. It really captures the moment, even like in the darkest of places. When you're going through a dark place, the light is always shining. It makes dramatic scenes play out more. Want to put the spotlight on the main character while you're escaping or trying to hide, or something very sad happens throughout the entire time. It was really interesting that Moon Studio was able to go with such dramatic themes with its character glowing in certain spots. There were times where you would go through a level and just go like, wow, it is very dark, but the light is still shining on Ori, and just his spirit and his sprite look is something that captured throughout the entire game, and can ultimately be a testament to the fact that even in dark times, light is there. And it really was shown through the level and graphics that you would go into a dark area and just see Ori completely shining. If you're a PC gamer, I can tell that you had fun looking at the graphics, as it felt smooth to play throughout the entire, with no staggers, no real frame rate drops, as this was my first time playing a PC game and I absolutely enjoyed it. It felt different compared from like what would have been on the Xbox One. Just to see that the way Ori would move smooth, there'd be no frame rate drops, and it really made me appreciate what PC gaming is capable of doing. It was something I've never experienced before, and I overall enjoyed that experience. If you do have it for the Xbox One, I do hear reports that they actually did up it when the game was released, and the overall experience was done there as well too, and it made the game feel better. And I say kudos to Moon Studios for being able to put out a patch like that to even be able to keep up with par and keep that frame rate going and play in 4K even on a console. It's truly an amazing establishment to do when you deliver on those promises. And seeing how Ori and the Will o Wisp was actually delayed by 1 month, they probably did that just to make sure that it would run on the Xbox One with no faults and no kinks. And when you go through its platform status, it's okay and runs smooth, and you won't see those staggers. And just playing it through a PC game for the first time, I might have saw staggers once, and I think that was because of my system, not the game. Now let's talk about the gameplay for Ori and the Will o Wisp. There is actual gameplay in Ori and the Will o Wisp this time compared to Ori and the Blind Forest, where you were just dodging around to get to the next area and just be this platformer 2D style, look gorgeous game. It now has combat, which is something new. I honestly think was the right choice for this franchise, because instead of just dodging around, why not give players the option to face some of these enemies rather than just getting out the way, dodge to get to the next area? It allows them to feel like they're in complete control of the scenario without constantly having to get away from said enemies. Ori and the Blind Forest is a hard game, but it is also a get good game, and Ori and the Will o Wisp enhances that same ability of get good in a way like where you can play your own style. There's a weapon wheel where you can change whatever weapon you want or ability to your liking and play style. There's no one way to play the game is what I like, and what allows certain RPGs like Zelda or The Witcher to go forth. And to see that in Metrovanias like Castlevania or even Ori and the Will of the Wisp is something great, because it adds diversity to said game and doesn't just make you play one strict style. And what's cool about this in Ori and the Will of the Wisp is that certain weapons you can upgrade and customize and equip to your will in a way where you can use those weapons or use that ability. But some of them you have to actually go out and find, which is cool because this is a Metrovania where you are supposed to explore every nook and cranny upon the world to explore and just to get better at that level and to come back and get that next item that you couldn't get before. It's not all laid out there in front of you, and that's what makes it challenging and fun, because it's not going to be given to you willingly like you want breadsticks at your favorite pasta spot. It's like, I would like 5 breadsticks. Well, we're out of breadsticks right now, you're going to have to wait. And that's the same thing that happens here in Metrovanias. You have to come back to certain areas, and that is still explored throughout Ori and the Will of the Wisp. Like any old good platformer, there are puzzles within Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and they are there to seem struggling, just by the way the level design is, or just the way that some of what the things that you need blends in with scenery. This could be troubling at first, but as soon as you figure out what you need to do, it's good and gravy to get to the next obstacle and complete what you were trying to do. The thing that has definitely changed about Ori and the Will of the Wisp is the fact that your life that you have for Ori, yes, you start off low with 3 and life cells and 3 energy, but it's the fact that when you gain a new life cell, it doesn't automatically upgrade your overall life. It says you need to gain 2 or 3 more life cells to be able to gain another life. Which, interesting enough, I feel like Moon Studio was influenced by that whole Zelda-like mentality of having a 4 heart containers just to be able to gain 1 health. This is cool. It was different, and I wasn't expecting it, because it forces you to have to explore every nook and cranny in this world that Ori is a part of, just to be able to get full health, full energy, just to be able to pull up some of the special moves that you get in order to get that completionist ratings that some of us gamers go for. It is nice to think that Moon Studio looked at some previous games that use that quality of, yes, you found something, but you need more of it just to gain what you want. Just seeing that in the game makes me want to play more of it and to explore and just make sure that I explored everything that was supposed to be seen within the game, even after beating the original story. Also, Moon Studio capitalized on one of its biggest mistakes from Ori and the Blind Forest, which felt super hard, and it's just that ability to have to manually save when you reach a certain point. Now with the introduction of autosave, it made the game feel more fluid and safe to do certain things, and not even just a crunch. Just the fact that in the previous game you had to use your energy just to be able to save certain times felt like a hassle compared to this now autosave ability. It made me feel like I could go back to certain areas, die unless it had to happen, then pretty much restart the level from that save point rather than continuously save. Because in that sense, it kind of almost makes it feel like a roguelike and not a Metroidvania. And I'm glad that they made that switch to making it feel like a Metroidvania based off the area that you died off with syncs up with the autosave, which made it feel more fluid and that you can get through the area with less problems without having to restart the entire map. Now let's talk about the biggest and I think unique part about Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and that is the big chase scene. Come on, Perry, you got this. What Ori and the Will of the Wisp and just the overall Ori franchise does is that it's not just your grind to a certain boss fight and beat them situation. It is escape as fast as you can with this Spirit Guardian Fox ninja style just to get to the next area after completing a certain scenario. That is cool and different and unique because it changes up the overall pace. It also determines how you are going to play as a gamer after learning the skills. Can you prove what you just learned in this tough situation just to get to the next area and to complete what the developers have thrown in front of you to see if you can actually get to the next area of their game? Yes, these chase situations can seem hard and daunting and might take you a few tries, but once you get to the end of that tunnel and complete it, you feel good and you get to continue playing the story, and it just makes you feel like, oh yeah, I can do that again. And it made me feel like I was growing as a gamer with Ori, just to be able to get out that situation and harness the same skills that everyone else was able to use and just be able to go to the next area and enjoy. But also what Moon Studio added to Ori and the Will of the Wisp are bosses, which were not in the first game at all, which is cool because it just doesn't feel like you're running an escape game. It also has some meat to it, so you have to fight something at the end. It's not just escape and then the story ends in a couple hours. You have to fight some of these bosses too, and based off the skills or weapons or your playstyle, that's where you get to test how you go a mesh against these bosses that look big and as you're a small character, and how you're able to pull off some of the moves. Seeing that line go down is great, but to see staggers off the weapons you use, like the spike spear or even just the sword dash or even bashing back for missiles, is cool to see in that 4K specialty that you've been playing for the last few hours. Really hope that games like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night can learn for experiences like Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and the fact that chase scenes are cool. It also makes us learn new abilities. It's not about always leveling up. It's also about the overall experience of not just going through an area and experiencing a boss fight. It's just how you get to that boss fight. It's not all about and character discussion and just before the boss fight happens and they change into their ultimate form. And this is a way that Ori and the Will of the Wisp is able to make an influence over the overall mechanics of Metroidvanias because of its ability to have chase scenes and then fight at the end and then experience story. It's like a big crescendo and music playing and blaring as you're going through it and struggling. You might die a few times, like I said before, but it's going to be worth it and you're going to enjoy it. Side quests are also a part of Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and that's cool too because they don't feel like a hassle. What's cool about the side quests is that you're creating this village for all the other animals that are part of this forest, and for that to see that there's some depth to the characters, you're helping them along the way, you're being that spirit guardian fox that you're supposed to be and helping out the forest. And the things that they require you to do are not a hassle because it is a Metroidvania and you find those things along the way and they're not hard to find. And once you find them, you can just bring them back to the person without even having to go to the warp points in the game, which is unique and different that Moon Studio was able to improve on, because in the previous game you would have to go to a warp stone just to be able to warp. In Ori and the Will of the Wisp, you just open up your map here and just teleport to said location. And that seems a lot easier than having to go and dodge and die maybe on your way. So that's cool that it gives the players that opportunity to not have to go through certain platforms again, because some things can take an hour or so based off your playstyle. So for them to add that ability for gamers to get to where they want as quick as possible is fascinating and fun, and just allows you to play the game even more time without having to backtracking so much, which is previously done in a lot of Metroidvania games, going back all the way to Metroid Prime, where you have to go back and forth constantly without any regards to a warp point. So for Moon Studio to add just those abilities to get to areas fast is great, and it made me play for hours upon hours in. And last but not least, the story of Ori and the Will of the Wisp. And I can't spoil it because there's so much to unpack. It's just not about you being a spirit guardian. It's just the understanding how nature works and the overall difference between light and dark and how they operate in their ways. Just like, let's say you're a Jedi Master or you're a Sith Lord. It conquers that about yin and yang and how they work together rather than apart. And that experience was so great and so moving that after playing the game for about 12 hours, it was great to experience Ori and the Will of the Wisp in its full entirety. It almost felt like a play was being performed in front of me the more I was playing the game. As I said, the darkness and seeing Ori light, it just was grooving and just amazing to witness such a story being told about how these two forces work together even though they try not to. I consider the story of Ori and the Will of the Wisp to be more of a drama and something that you can learn from with your friends as you are growing together in this world, and how you can conquer darkness but understand it at the same time. Now, if you're not familiar with the way we review things here at AWOI Gaming, we look at what I like to call an influential scale based off how the game can be influential, as in not influential, potential, influential, or very influential. And I have to say that Ori and the Will of the Wisp is an influential game for its way to take the Metroidvania genre and twist it in its way of making it its own and using some unique mechanics that we're so familiar with, let's say Castlevania and Zelda, and make it its real own game with its chase scenes and adding bosses and just this overall story of making me want to play the game again, and just the over experience that it was only a $30 game. And it's also free to play if you have the Xbox Gamers Pass, which you can play on your PC or Xbox One. It is worth a play. It's not something small. It takes about 12 hours. I'm pretty sure it takes longer to be as a completionist. You can play it on easy, normal, hard mode. It's just a matter of how you want to play, and that's okay. That's what they did in this game. Moon Studio did a really good job of making it so that anyone can play however you want and not feel like you're cheated, because you have to do that chase scene at the end and see if you can prove to beat that boss the way you want to beat it. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please continue to be careful and stay positive in these hard times. I know that most of us are isolated, but there's a ton of games that you can be playing. You could be playing Ori and the Will of the Wisp, or you can be playing some of these up-and-coming games that are just around the corner. Guys, we're in this together. There's no problem with it. Play a few games, have a laugh. We love you guys here at AWOI Gaming. Stay positive, stay strong, stay safe, and just have a good time around with your family members or anyone that you're playing with online. It's a great time to bond in that way and feel influenced by any game that you're playing, that during that hard time you were able to get through it because of this video game. Ori and the Will of the Wisp could be one, and there's more upcoming games, exciting games that I know that you guys are excited for, and I can't wait to see how it influenced you in a positive light. This is Perry at AWOI Gaming. Y'all have a good one.